Welcome to the second installment of our Learning Opportunities and Engagement series, a part of the Building GBV Evidence program at the Global Women's Institute. The aim of this series is to continue to engage and support researchers and members of the humanitarian community in conducting ethical and technically sound gender-based violence research on refugee populations. This presentation will focus on understanding intersectionality in gender-based violence research. We will first begin by defining intersectionality. Intersectionality is a concept that acknowledges and examines how different forms of oppression and discrimination, such as racism, sexism, classism, ableism, and homophobia, intersect and overlap. This concept focuses on creating unique experiences of disadvantage and marginalization for individuals who hold multiple social identities. Intersectionality also highlights how these intersecting identities influence one's experiences of discrimination, access to resources, and opportunities. It looks at how these experiences can differ from those individuals who hold only one social identity. Intersectionality recognizes the complexity and diversity of individuals' experiences. And this is done by being used to inform policy, research, and advocacy efforts aimed at promoting equity and social justice. Let's now try to understand, what does intersectionality mean in the context of gender-based violence? The concept of intersectionality helps us understand how survivors of gender-based violence experience violence from various sources, and how certain people are at a higher risk of experiencing violence due to the intersection of various identities they may hold. By considering a survivor's intersecting identities, such as gender, race, sexual orientation, and class, intersectionality takes into account how these identities can expose them to varying levels of discrimination, oppression, and violence. Let's now take a deeper look into how we can use the social ecological model to better understand intersectionality and gender-based violence. The social ecological model is a commonly used framework that researchers and practitioners use to help them conceptualize the intersecting, overlapping factors related to one's identity or lived experience that contributes to their overall protection from or the risk of experiencing gender-based violence. Let's now shift our focus to understand how we can apply intersectionality in gender-based violence-related programming. In the context of GBV, it is crucial to move beyond a simplistic analysis that focuses solely on gender as the explanatory factor and instead explore the various types of discrimination faced by survivors from marginalized backgrounds. Understanding the convergence of different forms of discrimination is crucial for work with survivors, research, and public policy. Intersectionality is not only a theoretical tool, but it is necessary for meaningful and high-quality advocacy, interventions, policy development, and research. Let's go ahead and go through an example in action so we can further understand how we can use intersectionality in the context of GBV-related programming and research. In regions burdened with protracted armed conflict, women and girls who are perceived by their community as having been involved or affiliated with non-state armed groups face increased risks of GBV throughout their life course. This was the case for Nadia, a 14-year-old girl who was forced to join an armed group after her village was attacked. She was forced to participate in violent acts and was sexually assaulted by members of the group. When she managed to escape, she faced stigma and discrimination from her community, who viewed her as a terrorist and blamed her for the violence. As a result, she struggled to access support services and was at risk for further violence and exploitation. Nadia's experience is not unique. Women and girls who are perceived as affiliated with non-state armed groups are often viewed as a threat by their community and are stigmatized and discriminated against. This makes it difficult for them to access support services and increases their vulnerability to GBV, including sexual violence, forced marriage, and trafficking. In order to address this issue, it is crucial to understand the intersectionality of gender, conflict, and social norms, and to ensure that interventions and policy are tailored towards the specific needs of these women and girls, and that research and M&E is designed to detect these intersectional risks. And finally, let's understand how we can apply intersectionality and gender-based violence research. Identify the various socio-demographic positions of the individuals represented in the population. To do so, make sure you explore and investigate the power dynamics and imbalances and factors that may contribute to the marginalization or inequity, and/or consider how this may influence who sets data collection priorities and who are engaged in data collection. Adhere to a principle of inclusivity. This refers to actively considering which populations you are reaching with your research or M&E activities and which are included. Consider and break down barriers to access and reach a diverse population that includes marginalized groups. Next, incorporate diverse stakeholder viewpoints into research and M&E. This refers to identifying and consulting all key groups within the population. Make sure to work with people from the affected population to develop research and M&E plans, and continue to hold regular meetings to share information, validate findings, and create plans for action in reaction to data. Have members of marginalized groups in leadership roles. This includes having researchers and M&E staff or data collectors from these groups, or setting up a project or study technical advisory group. Disaggregate data along multiple demographic dimensions. This refers to designing data collection and analysis tools with multiple identities in mind, such as race, gender, and socioeconomic status. The more dimensions along which data can be disaggregated, the clearer your picture will be. And lastly, ensure to incorporate participatory principles throughout your research and M&E. Consider participatory principles, including using participatory data collection and analysis methods to democratize data collection and interpretation. Ensure that people from marginalized groups and contribute to data collection, and that the interpretations or conclusions are validated by the affected populations themselves. This concludes the second installment of our Learning and Engagement series, focusing on how to include intersectionality in gender-based violence research and programming. The Building GBV Evidence program is funded through the U.S. Department of State, Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migration. You can visit our website at buildgbvevidence.gwu.edu to learn more about how to build GBV global capacity through the implementation of evidence building activities and improving monitoring and evaluation systems. Thank you.